How is everybody doing today? My name is Chris. Welcome to Bourbon Sane. We're back today and we've got another blind tasting coming up. For those of you that have not seen one of my most recent episodes, I did a best budget rye whiskeys episode. What I did was I talked about my personal top 5 available and affordable rye whiskeys. If you haven't seen that episode, go check it out right now because we're going to be blind tasting all 5 of these. Thank you. Now that you've gone and watched it, here are our 5 ryes. So let's talk about what's going to be included. Rittenhouse Rye Bottled in Bond, Wild Turkey 101 Rye, Knob Creek 100 Rye, Old Forester Rye, and Baby Saz, Sazerac Rye out of Buffalo Trace. So 5 mostly available, affordable rye whiskeys for sure. These are all sub $30, $35, $40 at the most, the very most. I think this is going to be a really fun blind tasting. I was saying before in my previous episode, I'm not as confident about rye whiskeys, so I don't know if I'll be able to pick out the differences in these as well, or if I'll be able to say at the end what I think they are. I'm going to do this full blind tasting just based on what I like. I'm not going to try to guess what they are at all until the end. So it should be a lot of fun. Without further ado, let's get right into it here. I did already have these all shuffled up. I've got my results in an envelope here. I've got water, and I'll be cutting away in between and drinking water, but let's shuffle them again just in case you guys don't believe me. Alright, we're back. I didn't have a clue what these were anyway before, and I don't know what they are now especially, so let's go right into sample number 1. Not a huge amount of spice initially on the nose on this one. Definitely smells rye, but I'd say it's got a very nice sweet profile to it. A little bit of clove and baking spice coming through. Seems very approachable. Doesn't seem very high proof either. All these, for the most part, are between 90 and 100 proof, so 101. So they're all pretty close. A little bit of that pepper, a little bit of citrus, but not a lot of fruitiness on this one yet. Let's give it a sip. Cheers, everyone. More rye spice came through on the palate. A little more burn on the palate as well. First sip of the day, that could have something to do with it, but I did get more of that black pepper bite on the back. Still not a huge amount of fruitiness on that one though. But definitely more rye spice than on the nose. Not too bad. This, to me, tastes more like a cocktail rye. No idea what it is, but I think just that flavor profile, it's a little rough around the edges. We'll circle back on round 2 and we'll find out how it turns out. All right, sample number 2. Another pretty mellow one on the nose. Sorry, guys. Pretty mellow. Again, that sweetness, not a huge amount of rye jumping out of the glass. I will say a little more fruitiness is coming through on this compared to sample number 1, though. Much better mouthfeel, much better finish on 2 compared to 1. Almost like a creamy mouthfeel. Stuck to the side of the palate. Still doesn't taste that high proof. Could be because I have sample 1 in me now. My palate's more acclimated, but mouthfeel and finish was much better on this. That's really good. I have no problem drinking that anytime. Little bit of rye kick and rye bite on the back of the palate, but not a huge amount. It stays pretty sweet throughout the whole pour. Definitely 2 over 1 for me so far. All right, sample number 3. Oh, this has a lovely nose. This is much more fruity, much more juicy fruit almost. Juicy fruit gum is what I got on the nose there. That smells nice initially, for sure. Very fresh, very light. Wouldn't have even guessed this is a rye on the nose if I would have just gone into it. There's the rye though. More rye bite on the back of the palate. A little bit drying even, but definitely that earthy, peppery, even a little bit of orange zest, I would say, coming through on this one for me. Mouthfeel, again, is very nice. 2 and 3 both had really good mouthfeel so far, which is a big thing in whiskey for me. Front of the palate. Explosion of sweetness. No rye kick at all on the front of the palate. As it works its way in the back of the palate, you get a little bit of barrel, actually, and you get a lot more rye spice. So far in the first 3, no dill notes coming out. Dill is one of those kind of off-putting notes for me that I don't enjoy my rye. That's one of the reasons I didn't pick an MGP rye as one of my top 5, but I like 2 and 3 so far. They're both sticking out so far. All right, sample number 4. Wow, I said juicy fruit gum on 3, but this smells even more juicy fruit now. This is like a stick of Hubba Bubba. Hubba Bubba Max. Really fruity. These are, man, I must go towards like fruitier ryes, I guess. A lot more citrus in this. You know, a lot more fresh fruits even versus the orange peel lemon zest. It's more fresher fruit, like pear and apple. I mean, the brighter fruits. Oh yeah. I like that one. That is good. I'll say the mouthfeel and the finish isn't quite as good as sample 2 and 3, but the flavor all throughout is just wonderful. It's literally like juicy fruit gum. Just, it only lasts 5 minutes, you know, with juicy fruit gum, but the sample, that's kind of how this is. You know, not a huge long finish, doesn't really linger, but when it's on the palate, really good. Second sip actually gave me a little more barrel, a little more rye bite on the back. I'd say almost like a bitter oak. Maybe it's like a bitter barrel char note, honestly. Still not overwhelming. You know, not overwhelming for the palate, not off-putting at all. But so juicy, so fruity on the front of the palate. Really nice pour. All right, sample number 5. This one I really have to stick my nose down in the Glen to get much out of it. Maybe lower proof. Maybe that's why. Smells very sweet as well. I think all of these, for the most part, I pick they're barely legal ryes. You know, almost all of them with the exception of the Old Forester. So not a huge amount of rye like the 95.5 rye mash bill or anything like that. I think that's my palate. You know, I tend to lean more towards sweeter ryes. And if I'm really in the mood for a nice heavy rye, I'll go for something like a Bullet rye. But nice and juicy and fruity. That's the trend today, I guess, man. A lot of juicy ryes. Not bad either. Really, all of these so far have been really good. I don't mind any of them. I think 5 falls a little bit short of the middle 3 here. The mouthfeel, the finish is not as good. Nice flavor when it does hit the palate, but it dissipates way quicker than the rest of them. Nothing left over, nothing coating now. A little bit of almost like a butterscotch note came through on that. Butterscotch, and then the kick at the end. You know, the rye, almost like a white pepper on the back of the palate, stinging it a little bit. Not that tingly feeling on the palate I get from ryes, but a good pour. We'll see how it fares going back through the line. All right, guys, we're going to take about 10 minutes here. I'll leave the caps off, let them open up some more, and we'll come back. We'll see going back through the line if we notice any differences. All right, everyone, we are back. Took about 10-15 minutes there. Let the palate rest, let the glasses open up some more. I'm ready to get back into it now. Usually second time through, things change. Flavors tend to change. Trying them in different orders tend to change things, so we'll see how it turns out. Let's start at the end and work our way back. Sample number 5. Not as juicy now on the nose as it was first time through. Definitely more oak and barrel coming through. Possibly one of the older expressions, I guess, in the line here. A lot of these are no age stated, but definitely more oak this time. I like the nose better than the palate on 5. I really do. It's good. It's good. It tastes like something's not quite balanced, though. You know, the oak is really coming through for me on this for some reason. And the finish is very lacking. Very quick, very short finish. Not a bad pour by any means, but again, I'd probably use this as a cocktail whiskey versus something I drink neat. All right, sample number 4. More rye jumping out of the glass on this, just to begin with. And maybe I'll even say a little bit of a dill, like a dill pickle note is coming through on this for me. It's almost like a barrel funk. It's a barrel funk with like a little bit of a dill note is what I would say. Reminds me of a Rickhouse, but I don't know which Rickhouse. Oh, I love the palate on that though. I love the palate. You get an explosion of rye at the end of the palate with the nice pepper. I mean, nice pepper coming through. A little bit of cinnamon even, I would say, on that sip. Front of the palate, not too much. Not too much sweetness, but that back of the palate gives you that rye kick, that rye spice that tells you, hey, I'm a rye whiskey. You chose me. All right, sample number 3. Again, more oak coming through. What is going on now that we're going back through these? These all smell like oak and barrel. First time through, I didn't get that at all. This is more drying oak, for sure. It smells almost like a little bit of, even say, a musty note. Almost like a musty oak. Which there's one other cast strength rye whiskey I can think of where I got that kind of mustiness out of it. Still a good nose. That musty note is very, very subtle. Very subtle. And still smells awfully sweet. Nice bite. It's got nice bite on the back of the palate. I'd say maybe this one's a little bit higher proof because it gives you a really, really nice bite, which you want. You know, usually when I want to drink rye whiskey, if I'm going to drink it neat, I want that kick. I want it to tell me what I'm drinking, you know? So that's the beautiful thing about a little bit higher proof rye. That's kind of how sample 3 was. It gave you nice flavors, decent mouthfeel, but not a bad whiskey at all. I could drink that neat or in a cocktail for sure. All right, back to sample number 2. Wow, cinnamon big time on the nose now. Going back through, different order. Major cinnamon on the nose. Big time. Butterscotch, I'd say, as well, and cinnamon. This, if I remember right, 2 and 3 were kind of my favorites the first time through. Boy, that's a big pronounced cinnamon note now. Wow, I don't remember that from any of these bottles before, but... Finish dried me out a little bit. It's coming back though. Finish is still going. Finish is still lingering. Okay. Alright, not bad. Not bad. The cinnamon reminded me honestly of like Old Grandad, Bottled and Bond. Maybe Old Grandad 114. So possibly same distillery. I don't know. I thought maybe that was 3, but we're not going to talk about distillery yet. Really nice. Really nice. I like the cinnamon note. I like the cinnamon kick. Definitely know it's a rye whiskey, but not as fruity and juicy as the first time through. It's flavorful though. Flavorful, and the finish finish is really, really nice. Really nice. All right, back to sample number 1. The nose is just falling flat for me on this. Yeah, it smells like it smells sweeter this time through than it did the first time through. And I actually like, it's given me more bourbon notes coming through on this one, more like the baking spice, a little bit of clove. Some allspice in there. Like, this smells very bourbon-y. Very bourbon-y. Yeah, I don't even know that I would guess this is a rye whiskey, honestly, on 1. Whichever this is very, very bourbon friendly. Good. Again, 1 tastes like it's just unbalanced. The nose and the nose on it was really, really nice. But the finish and the palate is just very average. You know, didn't really dry me out. It just didn't give me what I wanted. Very short, very quick. Not a bad pour, but I think I would use 1 in a cocktail. All right, guys, I'm going to take a couple more minutes here, smell them side by side, taste them side by side. We'll see what I like, what stands out, what doesn't. I'll be back in just a second, okay? Alright guys, I'm back again. I've got my order set up here. I shuffled the glasses around so I know my order. I don't know if I'm going to venture a guess. I'll try. I'll just guess for fun. But I am not confident about this at all. Usually Sazerac Rye, Old Forester Rye sticks out to me big time because they're distinct flavor profiles. Neither one really did. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But I'm going to start with my number 5 pick. So number 5 is over here, this glass. This is... on nose, I'm guessing this is Rittenhouse Rye. Just from the flavors I got. So we'll see. This is orange sticker. Okay, nope, not at all. Orange. Wild Turkey 101 Rye. Yep, Wild Turkey 101 Rye. Wow. Just on memory, I remember liking this a lot more. The 101 is definitely better than the lower proof version of the Wild Turkey 101 Rye. Or the Wild Turkey Rye. It's still a good bottle. Like, all these are budget options you should probably stock in your bar, honestly. They're all good. For some reason today, this came in lower. I didn't get the higher proof. It was a little bit unbalanced. That's just how it tasted. You can see this is only like 2 pours in. Maybe it needs to open up more. I let them sit out for like a half hour, but that could have something to do with it too. So, 0 for 1 for Bourbon Sane. So is life. So is life. Sample number 2. This could change everything now. I guess sample number 2 I'm going to guess is Rittenhouse now. Because who knows? I was going to say Sazerac Rye initially on what I thought this was. So, sample number 4 is Orange X. Sazerac Rye. So that was my initial impression when I thought this was still Rittenhouse. Was Baby Saz. So, one of the most friendly bourbons out there for new to rye whiskey drinkers. It's so easy. So easy. Amazing how much the Thomas H. Handy tastes like this, just amplified in proof. Baby Saz is a 6-year product. Really good whiskey. You can use it in cocktails. That's what it's known for, is the Sazerac cocktail, of course. But out of Buffalo Trace, if you can find the bottle, that's the big thing. Luckily for me, this has been showing up about 6-7 times a year, so I'm able to find this these days, which is awesome. Number 3... this is giving me the cinnamon note and a little bit of that musty funk, I would say. And the only time I remember getting that musty funk note was on Knob Creek Cask Strength Rye, which was the 13-year or 9-year? 9-year, I think, maybe. Sorry, guys. So I'm going to guess this is Knob Creek. Pink X. Knob Creek Rye, okay. This is one I finished a whole bottle of, but I really only drank it in cocktails. So this is really one of my first times drinking it neat. And you can definitely taste the similarities between this and the Cask Strength Knob Creek Rye. The Cask Strength Knob Creek Rye is, of course, just elevated in proof. Fantastic bottle, but you definitely get more of the musty wood note. You know, if you're okay with that, that's fine. I like this because it gives you more of a rye bite at the end of the palate. Still got nice sweetness, and it's 100 proof. So I do really like this bottle, and I'm no problem again drinking it neat. I just will usually go to this in cocktails. Sample number 2. So we've got 2. My order from the video is already a little bit off. You know, I really thought Wild Turkey would fare higher in this. I'm kind of surprised. Number 2, I'm not getting the Old Forester profile from this, and it amazes me that Rittenhouse hasn't showed up yet. So this has got to be Rittenhouse Rye, I guess. Right? Pink dot. Rittenhouse. Rittenhouse came in number 2 for neat. I can't believe that. So Rittenhouse is always my go-to cocktail rye. You know, if I'm ever making a cocktail, I go to it. You know, you can see this bottle's almost killed now. But actually, neat, it did pretty well. It fared pretty well. I can't believe it. I really thought this would come in last. I did not have high hopes for this bottle compared to some great rye whiskeys. But hey, $26, $27 here in Michigan. Not a bad whiskey, and I will always use this as my cocktail rye. But being 100 proof, maybe it's the proof thing that's helping, you know? Higher proof is what I like, I guess. Which means number 1, as predicted in the last video, Old Forester Rye. Green, yep, Old Forester Rye. And it's just distinct, it's just better. Even blind, you know, you can see now, even blind, it's just extra fruity, extra sweet, you know. It's so easy for bourbon drinkers. You know, if you are a bourbon drinker new to rye, as I mentioned, this is what you want. Like, you just want it. It's got everything you want in a bourbon. The higher barley content gives you a little bit of that floral note. A lot more sweetness coming through than your typical rye whiskey. Even though it's a higher rye mash bill at 65%. So, just a fantastic pour, and you should always stock this. Thank goodness it's from Old Forester and it's actually available. Beautiful thing about Old Forester is their whiskey is actually findable. Thank you all so much for joining me today. Awesome head-to-head. I love doing blind tastings. I've got a lot more planned. One thing coming very soon is I am going to be doing a single barrel head-to-head whiskey bracket in honor of March Madness. So March Madness is here. It's March now. This is going to be a head-to-head. We've got 16 single barrel whiskeys. And my gosh, I did the best to put them in order of what I think is number 1 down to number 16. And we did seedings of 4 brackets of 4. So we're going to have 4 blind tastings for round 1, 2 blind tastings for round 2, and then the final will be 4 whiskeys. So it's going to be a lot of single barrel bourbon. So I hope you guys are ready for some single barrel. Let me know down in the comments below, what is your favorite single barrel bourbon? Since I just brought up the topic, single barrel attainable-ish bourbon on the market. And I also want to hear which of these 5 is your favorite rye whiskey. Or, if you want to go off the chart, what's your favorite rye whiskey outside of this lineup? Thank you all for hanging out today. I appreciate each and every one of you. I have to give a quick thank you to all my patrons, everyone who's new to Patreon. This year, Patreon, we're going to be giving away at least 3 or 4 bottles to patrons only. We're going to be doing live streams and doing giveaways for samples, bottles, just for patrons only. So if you are interested in joining, now's the time to do it. 2020 is going to be a big year for Patreon. So I wanted to add a lot more for you guys and give you guys a lot more content. So I'm really working towards that. I appreciate each and every one of you hanging out today. I hope you have a great weekend. Stay insane, everyone.